So today's video is somewhat of a vlog. I'm not really giving a recipe, but I took some time off and came to San Antonio to spend some quality time with family, and we are making tamales today. I can't wait. It's good to see my family and take a break. Here we go. So the night before we all got together to make tamales, we came into town, and this is the only footage or picture I got of the night before prep, and that's a lot of the ingredients we'll be using. So by morning, everything was looking festive. Of course, we had to have our coffee, and the day started off really nice. I love the view from my sister's patio. It's kind of one of my favorite places here at our house, is to sit here and have some coffee. And it's really quiet and peaceful, especially in the mornings. It's nice to get in some fresh air and get out of the house. So it's just the little things, and it kind of rained today. Hopefully it's not that way the entire day. So my husband's up, the kids are up. There are about 3 to 4 families staying here at my sister's house. And the night before, I did an overnight pork. We had 2 pork roasts. I added guajillo chiles, seasoned it, and this is what we ended up with this morning. Was very tender pork. And we're going to shred, season, add chili puree, and this is going to be one of the fillings for the tamales that we are making later. And I'll link a tamales recipe in the video, but like I said, today is just sort of vlogging what we're doing. My sister likes chicken tamales, so she's boiling her chicken, again with some guajillo chiles, seasonings. The broth is going to be very flavorful when we go to make the masa. She also started making menudo. So she's boiling all of the tripe, put aromatics, and wait until it's tender. And I want to show you. So this year we're doing things different. She went to a store here in San Antonio. I think it's called Culebras for my locals. You might know that store. And they had this available. Ya no te enchiles las manos. It means no more chile hands. They sold this unseasoned paste. She got chile guajillo and chile ancho paste. So we're going to test it out this year. Hopefully it works. She also got huge cans of hominy. That's going to go into the menudo later. And it's just going to be a day of family, eating, prepping, all that good stuff. And we will be using the menudo mix powder just to make life easy. So what she's working with today is this container of manteca and 3 5-pound containers of masa preparada. And masa preparada, as opposed to the dry maseca, dry flour mix, this already has seasoning, or at least salt. It also is kind of pre-moistened. It's kind of wet. And we have a couple of birthdays and gifts to wrap, and my son is just hanging out. My other son loves this, by the way. He likes to just quietly play in this kinetic sand. So here my sister shredded all of the chicken. This is an easy way to shred chicken. And that's the broth. Again, broth and chiles is all flavor when you're making tamales into the meat or into the masa. My tia already shredded the pork meat and added the chili puree and seasoned it well. So we'll be making pork and chicken tamales today. And she combined that. And this is the rendered fat and broth from the crock pot. Save that as well. Here she's cleaning and prepping the corn husks. And like I said, I have several videos if you really want in-depth like recipes for tamales. But today we're using the masa preparada. And you really got to clean these corn husks. They're dry. Nature is involved, so there's a lot of like dried debris. My uncle is adding more water to the menudo because we kind of forgot it was boiling. He's adding the seasoning. And like I said, it's kind of fun when you cook with family. Everyone has like their own way of doing things. And, if you do things right, it all comes out tasting great. So hopefully, fingers crossed, it'll all be good. So we're just mixing and eyeballing seasonings. And that's just the beauty of when you cook with your family. Sometimes it's not really about the recipe. It's just getting together and, adding your 2 cents to recipes or food. Okay, homony's going in. And I actually told them to drain the can and rinse it. No one listens to me in this house, so let it be what it is. So we're going to mix that, let that boil. And on the table, my sister likes to put this clear plastic, like table, not tablecloth, but a table covering, and then she mixes it on that table. So we have a lot of masa. She's skimming off all of that rendered pork lard with the chiles from the crock pot that's going into the masa. And we're also going to be using softened manteca. That's going to go in. And with this masa preparada, it also has salt in it, so you really don't need to add tons of salt. Again, seasoning and salts is to your preference. We will add a little bit. So she is going to mix and combine everything, and this does take time. And like I always say, clean hands work best in the kitchen or when you're cooking. And I'm just going to ladle in some of that broth. You really don't need a lot of liquid when it comes to masa preparada, the prepared masa, but you do need the lard. That is important. So I might not get to use all of the broth. So we already mixed it. We're in full swing making tamales. My tia here is going to town and she's just making the pork. I started on the chicken, even though I'm filming, but it's almost time to put the first pot on the stove. Here she's filling one of the steamer pots. And I always say, when you're filling the steamer pot with the tamales, you don't want to just like tightly pack it. And you can, but just know the cook time is going to take a longer time because if it's tightly packed, the steam doesn't go around evenly around the tamal as it cooks. So once this is packed, this will be the first pot. We're going to start with the pork tamales. We're going to put it on the stove and start cooking. In the meantime, my tío is outside grilling, making jalapeno poppers and fajita, to tide us over. And this is the first pot of tamales. So once you place your tamales in the pot, the steamer pot, you cover with corn husks and a damp towel, and it really steams and cooks well. So this is the first batch, and I'm so hungry, I'm going to eat some. And this is what they turned out like. They were so good. And I already started eating one, but I want to show you once you break into one. I don't know if it's because everyone was just waiting and hungry, but these are some of the best tamales I've had in a long time. Even the ones that I recently made at my own home. These are so good. So it's the next morning. I'm super exhausted. I'm up early because my youngest wakes up early, so I'm going to make some coffee. And not just any coffee, but I have to have my Korean coffee. By the way, I filmed this earlier and I am doing voiceover outside on my sister's patio. So if you hear noise in the background, it's the voiceover. But this first sip is heaven. Oh, I needed this. So I am going to be off for a couple of days. I will try to be back before the new year, but I hope you enjoy your holiday and I'll see you in the next one.